Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah and welcome back to new Python tutorial. Today we'll do solving lab 3 object oriented programming as you have received this lab. Now you can see here a class diagram. In this class diagram we have two classes, person class and student class. Student class inherits from person class. We know this from this symbol. This represents inheritance. Now, in person class, we have three attributes, as you can see, name, email, and age. Those three attributes are private. We know this by this symbol. A negative represents a private member. However, the plus represents a public member. Then, we have the constructor, we have calculate age method, we have getters and setters. Let's start doing it. Okay, here we are. So let's start by defining the constructor. We'll give it the self as usual. We have name, age, and what? Email. Okay, so the first attribute is name. We will set the attribute to this parameter, as we said before. Now regarding the email, let's do some control. Okay, so if email in this case dot count Now I need to make sure that this email has one at. Okay, what else? My email will look like something like this. Any alphabet, for example, then the at or more. So the at supposed to appear at which index? At least at index 1. So email dot find the at greater than or equal to 1. So it should be at index 1 at least or more. What else? Then I can have, regarding my domain, I assume that I have at least 2 characters, then the dot, then whatever. So I need to say that, and of course, email dot find at plus 2 Now I will use rfind. Rfind will start searching from the left hand side. So in this case, I need to look that I have one at, then I need to make sure that the at appears at index 1 at least or more. Also, I need to make sure that the at comes before 2 alphabet, then we have the dot. So now if everything is proper and I have a proper email, I will set my attribute email to the sent parameter if the user sent a proper email. else I'll be simply printing invalid email. Now, what else do we have? So we talked about the name, we talked about the email. In this case, we still have the age. How to calculate the age? Let me call the function calculate age inside this init. So I will do self.calculate age, for example. So self.age in this case will be equal to the self-calculate age. Let's write this function. So define this should be the birthday, not the age, according to the question. So according to this, it says that, let's read again. This class has 3 private attributes. Okay, no problem. The constructor will take 3 attributes as mentioned in the diagram. Regarding the age, the constructor will be calling internally calculate age. So as you can see here, it takes a birthday. Okay, so this will be my birthday. I will give calculate age the birthday. So here we take birthday. Now let's paste this and I will be explaining this to you. Okay, first we'll define how many days are in year. So we have those average number of years because you know we have a leap year and non-leap year. So this is the average number. Now I will be calculating the age as follows. I will get the date dot today. Now why do we have a red line? Because we did not import the module we talked about. So from datetime import date. You can refer to the PDF that is uploaded in the UVT. It explains date, time, and date. In this case, I'm using only date because I don't care about the time. I could import date time or time. In this case, I'm importing date. So, in this case, birthday is the name of my attribute. So, I'm calculating age as follows. I will get today. This will return the date of today. For example, today is 19th of April. Then minus birthday, that will be sent by the user, okay? I will be converting it into days because this number will be of type date. I need only the number of days, so I will convert it into days. Then I will divide the whole number by the number of days in a given year. This will give me the age. This value will be returned here, and according to that I will be setting my age. Now let's define our setters and getters. So in this question it asks us to do the setters and getters. We have get name, get email, get age, set name, and set email. Let's start by defining the setters. So set email, it always takes the self, and in this case an email. I will copy and paste the control that we have done already in the constructor. Okay, here we are. Now let's define, by the way, instead of doing this inside the constructor, I could simply do what? Let me remove this because it's already in my constructor. This is optional. So we could do as this equals to, I will call set email and give it the email. So in this case, instead of repeating the control, I will just call this function to do the task for me. Here we are. Still have problem. Undefined set email, but here it is. Okay, sorry. Here we are. Okay, I forgot to use the self. Okay, so we have defined set email. Let's define set name. It will take the name attribute and simply I will do this one. I don't have any control in this case. Now let's define our getters. Name, it is the self. Simply, it will return name. Name, with email. Do we need to define another thing? So get email, get name, and get age. Good. We have defined the setters, getters, calculate age, and set email. Now, let's return back to the question. What does it ask as well? Okay, override str function so that it will return all the values of attributes of a person in a proper format. Okay, as we have explained this in previous tutorials, str will determine how my object will be outputted when I put it inside print function. So it does not take anything rather than the self. Then I will be returning a formatted string. Let me say like name between quotation plus plus what do we have? Let's do a tab, for example. Then we have email plus our last parameter, our last attribute is the age. So plus what else we need to define? The last thing is override equal. Why do we need equal? In order to be able to compare two persons easily using the double equal operator. We have talked about it as well in the previous tutorial. You may want to see it. So it takes the self plus another object because in life we are comparing two objects. We could name it P, whatever you want. Now, how we want to compare? We will compare using the name. So we assume those two persons are the same if they have the same name. We'll do it simple comparison. So return what? Self dot name equal P, which is the other object. This is of type person as well, of course. So I will compare the name of the self with the name from the other object. Now we are done with defining our class person, as you can see here. Let's try to test it. So let's define P1 equals to for example, this is the name, this is the email, and finally the age. Sorry, not the age, the birthday. So we send it as a date object. So it's of type date. As it's explained in the PDF, it takes the first parameter as the year, then we have the month, then the day. Let's define another object of type person. Let's say it's P2. Okay, let's do some changes. Let's do improper email. So the second email would be without at, and let's see what will happen. Can you see? It's invalid email. ahhotmail.com is invalid email. So it's working properly. Now let's do something else. Let's make it proper first. Sorry. At. Let's try to compare. Just simply print what? P1 equals to P2. Are they equal? Yes, they are, because they have the same name. So even if I change the email, in this case I'm changing the email, and let's change this to. So even if we change the birthday and we change the email, it's supposed to return true. So let's see, is it working or not? Good, excellent. It's true because they have the same name. So this is the rule of comparison. According to equal, we say that we need to compare the name of the first object, which is in this case P1, with the name of the second object, which is in this case P2. So everything is working perfectly. Now let's check calculate age. So let's try to print one of my objects, assume P1, and let's see. We have problem. Again. Okay, I always forget this. I need to convert this into str. And okay, I have only one integer, so this will solve my problem. Supposed to solve, inshallah, my problem. What? Time. Not working in this case. Let's see. Okay, so what's the problem? Let's check our attributes. Okay, so this is the problem. We just simply call self.set email. Now let's see. Good, perfect. So it's displaying the name, the email, and the age. Perfect. Now let's move to something else. Let's start writing our class student that inherits from person class. Now back to our lab. Let's see. This class inherits from person. It has SID, courses, and average grade. Courses, for example, and the value, it will be created as dictionary. Okay, here we are. So it will take the self. Of course, the name, since it's a person, the email, and age. Those are inherited from the person class. We have name, email, and birth day. Okay. What else? We will have SID. We will have. That's all in the constructor. We will define those at the beginning, and then we'll add course every time. So in the constructor, student will have name, email, birthday, and SID. That's all. At the beginning, when we create the student class, the others will be added as we need them. So let's call the super init. We'll give it self, as we said. We need to give, when we call the parent method, we give it the self, then the name, the email, and birthday. It will do the task. Then, regarding the student attributes, which is for example the SID, we will do self dot. It's also as private equal to SID. Then what do we have? We have courses, as a dictionary. So we'll create courses. We have also the average grade. It will be initialized to 0 at the beginning since I don't have any course. Now let's define what? Add course. It will take the self, course ID, and let's say grade. Let's name courses. Okay, this is the one. Equal to the grade. As we said, we'll be adding one course at a time. Every time the user will give us the course ID, for example, CS120, then it's a grade, for example, 80. So in the dictionary, I will add this course ID plus its corresponding grade. Of course, we need to call the function, which is calculate grade or average grade. So this is the one. So every time I am adding a course, I need to call this function to update my average grade accordingly. It will take nothing. At the beginning, average grade would be 0, then it will be updated accordingly. Now, let's define okay, now let's try to calculate average. We will first define sum equal to 0, then For G and courses values, so we'll be going through the values of the grades that are inside my dictionary courses. Okay, every time adding this to the sum. Then at the end and outside the for loop, as you can see here, the average grade will be equal to the sum that we have calculated over the len, which is number of elements inside my dictionary. So this will do the task of calculating the average grade. What else do we need to define? Let's go back. So in this case, we need to define. We are done with the constructor. We are done with the add course, calculate average. Let's define three getters and one setter. Get its ID, get courses, get average grade. Getters only take the self attribute, don't forget. Return. Copy and paste. Now courses, return. And finally get average grade. Return average grade. We have one setter, set its ID for example. In case we want to change the SID, which is rarely the case, but let's define it. A setter will always take a parameter, don't forget. Okay. So that's all for our setters and getters. Let's see, what else do we need? We need to override as well the str to return all our objects. We need also to override less than to compare two objects according to the average grade. So, let's override less than. As you have seen in the previous tutorial, less than will compare two objects. This will help us in order to compare two objects normally using this operator, the less than or equal or greater than. So, according to the exercise, it said we need to compare according to the average grade. So, we need to return what? Self dot average grade, okay, less than other, which is the other, this one, the other object, dot average grade. Now let's override the str. It takes only the self, don't forget. Okay, we will call the str of the superclass, which is person. We need to give it self. You remember, when calling a parent method, we need to give it the self as a parameter. Now, the person will be displaying for us the name, email, and age. What do we need to return as well? This ID, in this case. Okay, let's convert this into str because we always forget to do that. Okay, what else? We need to return the courses. We'll convert our dictionary to string as well. Could split them with a tab. And the last thing would be the average grade. Yes. Okay, here we are. I guess that's all what we need to do. Okay, let's test that simply. Let's do the S1. So let's add to this. Let's define it as a student, not as a person. So then we need to add a student ID. That's all. After this, we could add some courses. Undefined name, student. What's the name of my class? Okay, I forgot the team, sorry. So in this case, we have student. Okay, now let's add courses. This is the one. I will give it the ID. For example, let's say CS 120. And the grade, let's say it's for example 90. We could add another course as well. Let's say this is IT 320. And the grade, let's make it 80 for example. Okay, let's try to print it now. We don't need this anymore, but the P1, okay. Let's simply print this one. I'm trying to check if my student class is working properly. So let's see. Okay, we have some errors. What does it say? Has no attribute. Apparently we have problem in our constructor. So there is ID. Okay, this is the problem. Sorry. We still have some other problems. Okay, this is in str. What does it say? Str not flow to str. Okay, I always forget this. I forget to convert this into str. Here we are. Okay, good. So this is the name, this is the email, this is the age, this is the SID. Courses, so we have two courses, yes, 120, the grade is 90, IT 320, whatever, this is 330, 80, and the average grade is, which is 85, perfect. So it is working perfectly. Let's compare another thing, which is I need to compare two students according to the average grade. So I will just copy and paste. And whatever the email is, whatever the birthday is. Okay, let's change the grades. Just to make this as 100, for example, and this is 80. This is supposed to have a better grade, S2. So this is supposed to be S2. This is S2, and this is as well S2. Let me print S1 less than S2. If things were defined properly, this should return true because the grade of S1 is less than the grade of S2. Let's see. True, excellent. So, in order to make sure to see the grades, we could say print S1. I want to see only the grade. Get. What do we have? Get the average grade. Okay, so this will be the average grade of student 1. Let's print the average grade of S2, student 2. So let's see. So what's this? Okay, sorry, I did not call it as method. So here we are. Now supposed to work, inshallah. Let's see. So student 1 grade is 85, student 2 grade is 90. Perfectly. So the comparison is done properly. Now let's go back to the lab and let's see what about the test. Create 3 students with the proper information for each ad. Okay, then create a list. Search for a student in the list. Sort it. Display the sorted list. Okay. So let's create an empty list. For example, we'll name it list. So this will be my list. We have created 2 students. I believe it's good for testing. It's enough for testing. Let's append those students to my list. So I will append S1, then I will append S2. Okay, now let's try to sort it. So before sorting, it says you need to search for a student. So let's create a student to search for. Let's name search student. This is the name of my object. I will make it exactly this one. So this will be the name of my students that I wanna look for in my list. How to search in a list? We could simply use list dot count. I will search for whom? For this student. Search a student. Okay, so if list.count is greater than 0, now we will be able to search easily because we have overridden, don't forget, the equal. The equal, it was defined in the superclass. We have override the super equal. Where is it? Like, here we are, according to the name. Now our search criteria will be according to the name. Look, normally we search according to the SID, which is supposed to be a unique number. However, in this case, we will search according to name. You could override equal in the student class to make the search properly according to the SID. So you will add here def equal and then you'll search according to SID. I leave that to you to do it. Okay, if list.count search student greater than 0, Then we simply print the student was found. Else, no, he was not found. Was not found. Okay. Let's try it. The student was found. Perfect. Now if we change the name, the student was not found. But if we kept the name and we changed other thing, he will find it. Because our search criteria is according to the name. So if I change this thing, for example, we change the date, it does not matter in my case because our equal search according to the name. Even if the SID was changed, in this case, it will say it is found. It's found because it searched according to the name. As we said, we could override the equal to make it according to SID. Now, what else we need to do? We need to sort the list. Simply, we'll use list.sort. Now, list.sort, it will deal with the student object as a normal integer because we have overridden the less than. So, the sorting will happen according to the average grade. Let's print then the list after sorting. So for P and list, print P. That's all. So this has 85 grade as you can see here, and this has 90. So that's why it's printing Khulud before Muhammad according to the average grade. That's all for today's tutorial. Thank you very much and stay safe.